So recently I conducted a poll asking you to vote for the best Resident Evil CGI movie. And the results were pretty interesting and surprising, at least to me. In fact, they were so surprising and interesting that I just had to make a video on the matter, going over the potential reasons why the poll results were as such, why I find them interesting and surprising, how I would rank each film and why, and what the general opinions and ratings are for each one in order to portray how they were received and how they stack against each other overall in the eyes of the entire community. In the process of compiling everything I needed for this video, I went down a rabbit hole of realizations. Turns out that the poll results are not as outlandish as I initially thought. Public opinion on all 4 films is not what I believed it to be, and I might be alone, more than I thought, in some of my views. So get ready for an interesting and potentially eye-opening journey. But without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Of course, we must first go over the poll results since they are the crux of this entire video. From a total of 211 votes, thank you to everyone who voted by the way, Degeneration got 13% of the votes, Damnation got a whopping 50%, Vendetta got 14%, and Death Island ended up with 23%. So Damnation came out on top, followed by Death Island, Vendetta ended up third, and Degeneration trailed all of them, ending up in last place. Now, like I said, this shocked me greatly. Why? Well, because I fully expected Degeneration to emerge as the victor since it is, at least for me, the best of the bunch, and Vendetta to end up as last due to it being, in my opinion, the weakest of the 4. As for the other 2, Death Island ended up where I expected it to, while Damnation did the impossible. It took the top spot, which I definitely did not see coming. It's fascinating to see Damnation being so highly regarded among you guys, while Degeneration on the other hand is seemingly not so highly regarded. To further explain my shock, let's take a closer look at each movie. We will go over my personal rankings, my reasoning for them, and where each film stands in the public eye. Resident Evil Degeneration was the first CGI movie in the franchise. Released in 2008, it brought back fan favorites Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield in a new story set between Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5. Degeneration stands out due to its strong narrative, character development, nostalgic value, and how faithful it is to the series in terms of atmosphere and the tone. Leon and Claire's dynamic is compelling as always, and the plot, which centers around a bioterrorism incident at an airport which of course unravels into a deeper conspiracy, feels tightly woven and suspenseful. The outbreak in such a tight and closed space, coupled with the darkness and isolation once night rolls in and the place is evacuated, make for what is easily one of my favorite moments in all these films. This truly feels like the original games in the series. It feels like survival horror at its finest, making it by far and away the scariest and most tense of any of these films. Critically, Degeneration has been appreciated for its animation quality and faithful adaptation of the game's atmosphere. On IMDb, it holds a rating of 6.4 out of 10, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it enjoys a 57% audience score and a 67% critics score. Many fans praise it for staying true to the essence of Resident Evil. Brief parenthesis here. In my recent video discussing why I think that Claire is underrated, many people disagreed with me saying that she isn't underrated. Well, seeing the CGI film that features her most prominently ranking the lowest in the poll certainly lends some credence to my opinion.
Looks like we're dealing with this first. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Resident Evil Death Island is the latest CGI film, released in 2023. This movie brings Leon, Chris, Jill, Claire, and Rebecca together in an all-star team-up that we could only dream of. The action sequences are top-notch, the animation stellar, and seeing these iconic characters interact is a magnificent treat for longtime fans. Fan service is where Death Island excels at. It constantly delivers thrilling moments and solid character interactions that were long awaited. From Leon and Jill getting to meet for the first time, to seeing the Redfield siblings side by side for the first time since Code Veronica, to getting to see all 5 of these amazing characters fighting together, it's impossible not to absolutely love this film and the various spectacular moments it brings to the table. Though relatively new, Death Island has been well received by fans for its exciting plot and character dynamics. On IMDb, it has a rating of 5.7 out of 10, which is honestly a little low. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a much more favorable 65% audience score and a 63 critic score. It's considered a fun, action-packed entry that satisfies the desire of fans to see their favorite characters in action.
I'm not a CIA agent. I'm just a regular American who was screwed out of his vacation, dumped on a plane, and brought to this place. Without any breakfast.
Resident Evil Damnation came out in 2012 and focuses on Leon S. Kennedy in a war-torn Eastern European country. He investigates the use of POWs in the war, leading to intense confrontations with both monsters and humans, and the political intrigue that is both interesting and tense. The strength of this film lies in its complex plot, which is arguably the best of any of these films, and its action scenes, which are both very cool, intense, and creative. Throw in some cheesy but funny moments and a darker, more serious Leon than normal, and you get a film that is very enjoyable from start to finish. Now, just to be clear, I love this movie. I think it's great. The only reason why I do not rank it higher is that the beautiful nostalgia, superb atmosphere, and the thrilling horror provided by Degeneration are too difficult to pass up. As is the sheer spectacle of Death Island, courtesy not only of its bombastic action, but also of its impressive cast that is a longtime fan's biggest dream come true. So Damnation ranks 3rd for me by default. I simply cannot put it over those other 2. Despite its heavy political storyline, which some fans find less engaging, Damnation remains highly regarded. It holds a rating of 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb and has a 70% audience score and an outstanding 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. This last one shocked me greatly. I was not aware that Damnation was so well regarded. Resident Evil Vendetta was released in 2017, and it features Leon, Chris, and Rebecca making her first appearance in the series after a very long absence. The plot involves stopping a bioterrorist from spreading a deadly virus. Vendetta is known for its over-the-top action and somewhat convoluted storyline. While it has some memorable moments, it doesn't quite hit the mark for me compared to the others. It's basically the film equivalent of RE6. It features several great characters working together to stop a big crisis, exciting set pieces, intense sequences, and intriguing twists that would all make for an amazing ride, but are ultimately undermined and muddled by too much over-the-top action, awkward pacing, odd decisions, and tonal whiplash. Vendetta, again like RE6, has received mixed reviews, holding a 6.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb and a 48% audience score and 43% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics and fans alike have pointed out its inconsistencies in tone and narrative. However, it still offers enjoyable action sequences and character moments, which save it from being seen in a worse light. So that's how I would rank them and why, plus the general sentiment from the community on each one, which allows us to rank them in yet another way. Going by the IMDb scores, Degeneration and Damnation are tied for first, Vendetta is third, and Death Island is last. If we go by Rotten Tomatoes scores instead, Damnation is first, just like in the poll, for both the audience and the critics. Death Island is second for the audience and third for the critics. Degeneration is third for the audience and second for the critics. And Vendetta is last for both. Obviously, we got 3 very different stories here. 4 when you count the poll, and 5 if you count the 2 variations with Rotten Tomatoes. There are of course several similarities though, namely that first place is always either Degeneration or Damnation and never Death Island or Vendetta. Death Island is second often, Vendetta is last often, and the top 2 always includes Degeneration, Damnation, and Death Island. So why might the rankings differ so much? Well, there are 4 main reasons I can think of. First, personal preference. Different viewers prioritize different aspects of the movies. Some might love Damnation for its intense action and the complex plot, while others like me prefer the nostalgic, more suspenseful and character-driven Degeneration. Some might put a lot more value on the star-studded cast of Death Island, while others prefer the over-the-top action of Vendetta. Second, the character focus. Damnation heavily focuses solely on Leon, the most beloved character in the series, which might have contributed to its popularity. Conversely, Death Island's ensemble cast might give it an edge over Degeneration and Vendetta, which might be appreciated more by those that love Claire or Rebecca respectively. Third, recency bias. Death Island, being the newest of the 4 films, could have a positive influence on how it's perceived. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Degeneration, being the oldest, could have a negative effect on how it's rated. Newer movies often receive more attention and can benefit from a surge of initial excitement. Damnation and Vendetta lie comfortably in the middle, which could sway opinions for or against them. Finally, story complexity. Damnation's political intrigue might appeal to fans who enjoy deeper plots, while others might prefer the straightforward horror and the suspense of Degeneration. The convoluted plot of Vendetta could be a plus or a minus depending on who you ask, and Death Island's straightforward story that allows for such an amazing gathering of characters is enough to keep viewers engaged the whole way through without detracting from the character interactions that are its key selling point. There might of course be other reasons, but these are the best ones I can think of. In the end, the best Resident Evil CGI movie is highly subjective and varies from fan to fan. Damnation topped the poll. Degeneration is my favorite. Both are the best according to IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes has Degeneration and Death Island as both second and the third best simultaneously. Vendetta is the worst according to me, IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, but not according to the poll. Basically, no matter where you look, regardless of what you use to try and quantify the value of each film, it's impossible to definitively rank them. One thing is for sure though, each one brings something unique to the table. They all contribute to the rich tapestry of the Resident Evil universe in their own way. They are all great in one way or another. They all have moments we absolutely love. They all deserve to be appreciated, and they are all unforgettable parts of the franchise. Basically, whatever your answer may be to the question of which one is the best, you are undeniably in the right, and no one, including me, can take that away from you. What's your take on the best Resident Evil CGI movie? Do you agree with the poll results, or do you side with my rankings? Or do you agree with IMDb and or Rotten Tomatoes? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Resident Evil content. Also, check out some more videos like this one, including an in-depth review of Death Island, by clicking the links on screen and in the description below. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.